You know what? Come here. Rockhead. Hey, Rockhead.
I'll tell you what, Justin, I was in the building earlier for a little while, and it's funny because Mike at the front desk, he's always kind of shocked when he sees us, coming in there because I barely go in, maybe once a month or something to pick something up or to. I had my review with Joanne today, so I had to go down. But yeah, it's always kind of feel like you're back from summer vacation or something. Just haven't seen everyone, in person for a while.
Yeah, it's been some time since I've been in the office as well. Are you able to see the full screen slideshow on your end?
I am, yes.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yep.
Acting a
Yes.
little funky on mine, so, but I trust you guys. All right, so I've got about 6:05 on my end. We'll get started, and as people filter in, they can just kind of join us as they make their way in. So thank you all for connecting this evening. Good to see you all again. And thanks to Guy, our special guest here today, for joining us and giving us some additional information on a topic that was brought up at a previous meeting. We've all been doing video conferences for a while, so I think we're pretty used to how that works. But we'll jump right into it. Guy, I'll kind of turn it over to you. Feel free to take as much or as little time as you need to kind of talk about this project idea, and maybe we got some questions for you that come out of that.
Okay. So, there's still a pretty strong feeling out there that the shale revolution is real, that Utica and Marcellus are going to be a very powerful economic development opportunity for many years to come. There is an American Chemistry Association study out there that shows that by 2030, we could be looking at an additional 100,000 plus jobs in the tri-state in plastics and petrochemicals alone. And plastics and petrochemical jobs pay better than the average manufacturing job. One of the concepts that's been out there actually since about 2013 is the idea of a lake to river natural gas pipeline. And in one direction, bring in product from the Utica north all the way to the lake, creates opportunities all along the pathway there where you have a lot of flat land, unlike the rest of the Appalachian Basin. A lot of opportunity for industrial growth because they can have access to the product all the way up to Ashtabula Harbor, which has enough water to handle even a cracker plant like you see going up in Monaca. And one of the advantages in Ashtabula is that they have a special Lake Erie packed carve out, so they can tap into that water more so than any other city on the Great Lakes. And then going the other direction, being able to feed into the pipeline There's a general feeling that a lot of the landowners in the northern part of the Utica that have not been able to see the drilling take place, now that you have infrastructure to send the product into the pipeline, there's a feeling that that could really open things up again in the northern part of the Utica. The idea first came up around 2013 that if you would use the Route 11 right away to allow the private sector to build this pipeline, it makes it much more advantageous because one of the biggest obstacles to pipelines is negotiating with hundreds or thousands of property owners to get that right of way. So in this case, for the most part, they would only have to negotiate with one property owner, the Ohio Department of Transportation. In 2013, when this was first pitched, the door was immediately slammed shut by ODOT and the governor's office that no way, no form, no shape, this is ever going to happen. And so it's just kind of been gone. A lot of people started talking about that again around middle of 2019, new administration, new director of ODOT. And so we went back to the governor about a month ago, maybe less than a month ago, with an actual study and a very specific request. Sort of not really a study, but an overview of what the study would entail. And the request was sort of twofold. Number one, pay for a study to determine whether or not there would be substantial job growth if there was a pipeline. And the second request is that if the study does bear that out, then make the commitment now that you'll allow for that right of way to be used for that purpose. We fully expected that, like in 2013, they would slam the door, say no way, but that was not the case. We had the governor, we had the ODOT director, we had the Development Services Agency director, and we had the governor's policy director. And they agreed that it's an intriguing concept and they would study it further, take it to Jobs Ohio, get some input from the shale experts at Jobs Ohio, and then get back to us. So we are in that holding pattern waiting for them to get back to us. One of the couple of things that I think were a little bit different in this request. One, we presented it as an environmentally friendly green kind of concept, because as we go to the combustion engine to electric vehicles, there's going to need to be a very large supply of natural gas to make electricity. This is the perfect place to do that because of what's happening in Lordstown. And then also the environmental friendliness of putting a pipeline where the land has already been disrupted, as opposed to anywhere green. So I think that was part of the reason why they did take it under consideration, just simply, the momentum we have going here with Lordstown Motors and Altium and the way we presented it this time as opposed to last time. We also made the proposition that if this were to go forward, there would be no state investment other than the study itself. It would not be a build it and they would come kind of concept. It would be that the private sector would have to take the ball and run with it. And there could actually be opportunities for the state and economic development organizations from the lake to the river to get royalties out of that. And the state could actually make money off of this, and some of the organizations in the 4 counties could actually make money off of it. And the other thing we did differently this time than in 2013 is prior to the request, we gathered an enormous amount of support. So every state elected official from the 4 Lake to River counties signed on to a letter of request. All of the economic development organizations from Lake to River, chambers of commerce and port authorities signed separate letters of request. And all of the county commissioners from the 4 Lake to River counties submitted letters of request. And then we also had some individual business leaders that reached out and also made the request. So a large contingency of support was behind this as well. So that's where we stand. We await a response. I'm told that that is coming pretty soon. So I'm thinking sometime in February we'll get a response from the state. Any questions? Comments?
Yes, hello, Guy. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Does it concern you that the Biden administration frowns on fossil fuels and wants to transition to more wind and solar power?
No, I think that an all of the above energy strategy is going to be the way to go anyway, and more wind and solar is certainly has to be a part of that. But there's no way that wind and solar, at least with current technology, is going to be sufficient for quite some time, especially as we increase our use of electricity just for vehicles alone. So the natural gas play is still going to be pretty big. Not to mention that even if energy goes completely green, you can't make products without natural gas. The laptops that we're all using right now is made out of fossil fuels. And so that's why you're seeing the cracker plants flourish like in Monaca, like what PTT's expected to do here soon. ExxonMobil, it could be a whole host of these cracker plants all around Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, all along the river, and hopefully the lake.
Our
Guy,
demand for, yeah.
One
Our
follow-up,
demand for
if I may.
plastic is going to go up.
One follow-up, if I may. Can you make public that document that you sent to the governor, that request for the study, and could that be posted on Eastgate's website?
I can't make it public, but it is a public document in Columbus, so that you can get that from any of the state elected officials who signed on, because they would have to have copies and their versions would have to be public. There's lots of letters out there. Ours is not public, but the receivers, once it's in the receiver's hands, it's public. So the governor's office would have to make it public. ODOT, all the state elected officials, that would be the way to receive it.
Question, what are the names of the 4 counties that are supporting this?
Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoney, and Columbiana. Anything else?
All right.
Good.
I'm not
I'm
hearing
going to
any
hop off
follow-up
soon, but I'm going to stick around for a little bit.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us, Guy.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
This is Ben Kyle. Sorry, I couldn't grab my phone in time. Hey, Guy, I just want to say thanks for all the work on this. I think it could be a game-changing concept, and at least the discussions are being had, and we're bringing around again and asking the questions. In today's climate, I mean, obviously things are totally different than they were when you first made that application in that sense. It's really nice to see that we're kind of circling back and trying again, especially for the region where, there are so many different areas that are flourishing with this, technology and just to me, the petrochemicals and some of the jobs that could be created for our small little area here, it's monumental. So I just want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. I think there's an incredible potential with or without a pipeline. There's an incredible potential with the shale revolution this decade.
All right. Well, thank you again, Guy, for taking some time out of your day to join us and share a little bit more about this project. And I'm sure we'll be hearing soon like you said, maybe a decision about it. So we'll look forward to getting some more information in the coming months.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
So as we keep moving on through the agenda, we've got an economic development update from Mark Ragazine of Eastgate.
Thanks, Justin. I don't know if my slides are showing up or not. I think I'm losing my connection, but I have them in front of me as well. So basically just want to join tonight to give a high-level overview of what we've been doing on the economic development side at Eastgate. Obviously, a lot of work being done there, a lot of work transportation, a lot of work throughout the entire office, really. It's been impressive, like Jim said earlier, Justin, to see what we've been able to do while working from home. So very good stuff there. As for economic development, in 2020, we received a $400,000 supplemental planning grant from the EDA. That was non-competitive. We did not have to match it. It was pretty much just given to us to plan for resiliency and recovery as part of the COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, the region took a severe economic hit, so that was a big thing for us. As part of that, we were able to bring on 2 additional planners for a 2-year period in Mike Ripko and James Dignan. Mike Ripko, formerly of YSU, James, formerly of the Chamber. And so 2 very knowledgeable men, they came on, they're working directly with us on a disaster recovery strategy and also on facilitating EDA qualified projects. As part of that effort, we've been working the last several months to sort of streamline the process. There's no set manner in which the EDA wants to receive project ideas, which is different from a lot of other agencies. And so we've gone ahead and kind of put our own system together. We offer a one-page template. This is how we'd like to start the process. I know Kevin's familiar with that. A few times I've dealt with him. This template just helps us to get an idea as to what the organization is looking to do. And from there, we'll pitch it up the ladder to our EDA reps, and they'll just give us an idea. They'll provide little immediate feedback if the project's competitive, what needs to be tweaked, either in the rationale or the budget or the direction and scope of what they want to do. And then we can go back to our partners and assist with the application process even. We got a lot of information, a lot of statistics and criteria that we can plug into an application and make it more competitive. As for the CARES Act funding, we've been told by our partners that that's almost all but allocated. That was particularly attractive for our members, given that it was funded an 80% clip. Traditional funding has been reverted back to, and that is 50-50. So again, it's still attractive. These projects are accepted on a rolling basis, so there's no deadlines, but that 80-20 was particularly helpful during the pandemic. There's still a pathway for organizations to get to that level, but they have to demonstrate severe economic distress. And even though we do think in some cases in terms of unemployment and per capita income in the Youngstown-Warren area that we are distressed, the EDA's criteria is a little more strict, and so they put us rated 50-50. So tough to get past that threshold. As far as the economic development overview, we've also bolstered our efforts by using some of the CARES Act money that we've unexpended. We issued a request for proposals a few weeks ago to bring on a consultant for technical assistance. That process is being finalized, but 3 major things we expect them to work on: project identification, funding source identification, and then also grant writing services. Obviously, we can do a little bit of that out of our office, but always nice to bring on a little additional help to polish these applications up and put our best foot forward. Next slide, Justin. Okay. Again, just kind of rolling right along with economic development. The SEDS is a big piece of that. Each district, like Eastgate, has to have a document to qualify for economic development administration funding. This was year 1 of this new SEDS update. It's been very successful thus far. A lot of the ideas that our committee, which is made up of members from Ashtabula, Mahoning, and Trumbull County, a lot of the ideas they put together have actually come to fruition. we've been successful at receiving a broadband feasibility study, which was listed as a heavy concern, a heavy priority in the document. Several of our infrastructure, public works related projects have pursued funding, some successful, some not. But it's been a learning experience for myself and the rest of the staff to kind of see where we can improve upon, what we can get better at. And again, when we sit down to review this document in the spring again, kind of catalog year one progress, we'll work on getting better for the next year, and we'll continue to fine tune these efforts as we move forward. Next slide. Okay, yeah, just as I mentioned, the broadband feasibility study. In November, we brought on a consultant to perform this study. They've provided us with a 6-month time frame. They anticipate being done either in the spring or by June at the latest. Their study is to look at 10 different items. As you can see on that schedule in front of you, month by month, week by week, we've been provided with regular updates. Obviously, broadband's a huge issue in the region. Certain aspects, in terms of the urban and rural disconnect, rural areas sometimes lacking even the most minimal coverage, and then urban areas, in some cases, lacking the affordability and the bandwidth capabilities for commercial access. So this study will actually position the Eastgate region pretty well for when the governor releases the new, or if it's approved, the new 2-year budget, because in that budget, there's about $230 million for broadband related funding that will begin in FY 22. So we'll be finishing up this study right around that time, and we'll be well positioned to go after those broadband infrastructure dollars from the state, but also too our other federal agencies, because they like to see that you've studied an issue and that you have kind of a game plan and a path forward. So we're excited to see where this goes. Consultants doing a terrific job, and we hope to have them come on to report at one of our public meetings, either in April or May, whether that's the TAC, whether that's possibly Citizens Advisory Board. I'd have to talk to Justin about that, but I'd love to bring them on for kind of a high-level, in-depth overview, because a lot of the stuff that they're explaining to us is going to be in the final report, but I'd be lying to you if I said I was an IT or broadband expert myself. I'm just following through, making sure that they're doing what we've asked them. So hope to bring them on and kind of get real technical with us and let us know in depth what's going on. Next slide, please. Okay, and then lastly, just wanted to touch on recovery coordination. This is the grant that Eastgate received back in 2019. This was as part of the GM Lordstown closure. Now, obviously, this grant has pivoted to a certain extent. Now we're mostly studying how we can enhance that corridor, how we can enhance the region to position ourselves to take advantage of the supply chain of all the activity going on out there. So the team at YSU that's handling this contract, they're studying 5 high-level impacts, and they've pivoted most of their resources now to just enhancing that corridor. Mitigation of unemployment impacts, which they've done a terrific job there, strategy management, reuse and redevelopment. The big one, workforce and industry assets. That's the electrification piece, the electric batteries, autonomous technology, all these emerging things that they're trying to take advantage of for this region. Another plug, so to speak, just like the broadband, we hope to have the team from YSU at our next TAC in March. So be sure to follow along there. They're going to give a kind of a midterm report. This project goes on for at least, I believe, another year. So we're going to get a midterm report for them, show exactly where they're at and where they anticipate to go moving forward. With that completes my update, but certainly welcome to any questions and feedback you guys have.
Thank you, Mark. Samantha, I see your comment about the pipeline, so thank you for that. Let's regroup around that topic in the questions and comments phase, and maybe we could have a little discussion. And then I saw that, Pete, you put a question in the chat box. So would any federal approval or financial support be needed for the pipeline project to proceed? If so, would a federal disapproval or refusal to participate kill the project? Great question that I don't personally have the answer for. So yeah, I think maybe we can touch on that. Does anybody have any questions for Mark involving the economic development programs that he had covered?
I have a couple for the both of you.
Sure.
The GM clawback money that was allocated to Eastgate, any plans on that yet?
I guess from my experience, I don't want to speak directly to what it's kind of evolving, so to speak, but I think that question would be better directed at either Jim or Mike Ripko. They're both kind of working pretty closely on the plans for that. I know that a lot of it's going to be utilized again, possibly into the Lordstown Smart Logistics Network programs and projects that they had proposed, but it's an ongoing discussion. I know it has to be used for the regional purpose, so I would direct you towards one of them too, just for a more clear and concise idea. But that's what I've heard so far, Kevin.
Yeah, it's time to. It's going to be that time of the year when we have to resurrect that bill grant.
Yeah, and you know what? Jim had mentioned they don't know exactly how that money is going to get dispersed yet either. It's not coming all at once, is what I've heard. So it's either going to come in percentages, like in fours or in half, but it's not. They're not going to give the entire 12 million to the region all at once.
All right.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions for Mark? All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Mark, giving us an update. We look forward to hearing more about the results from that broadband survey and how that study takes shape, because I think that could really be a transformative project that focuses on a key issue that we're kind of underperforming on, at least regionally. All right, quick update about the General Policy Board. It was held January 25th. Samantha, our General Policy Board representative, gave the report. Do you have, and not to put you on the spot, Samantha, but do you have anything to share about your experience at the meeting? Anything you feel the committee should know that happened at that meeting?
Justin,
No worries.
let me maybe review my notes and then I'll get back to you, but nothing comes to mind right now.
Yeah, it was a fairly straightforward meeting. All of the resolutions were passed that were brought to them, which I actually don't think there were many. There may have only been one. But the next General Policy Board meeting is scheduled for April 26th at 10 a.m. If anyone on the committee has any suggestions for what the CAB would like to share in the report, or if you would like to attend that meeting, feel free to reach out to me with those comments or that request, and I will make sure to take that all into account. As we move ahead, Policy Board resolutions for passage. Again, another month where we've got nothing for this group to look at. So it's another easy month there where we could breathe easy on voting on resolutions. And then just a couple announcements. ODOT's currently seeking public comment for 2 projects in Howland Township. The State Route 46 and Warren Sharon Road intersection improvement and the State Route 82 and Howland Wilson Road intersection improvement. This PowerPoint presentation was sent out to everyone. It's also on the agenda and minutes page of Eastgate's website. Those are clickable links, so you're able to click those links, go directly to those public comment forums and participate that way. There's also some virtual public engagement opportunities with both of those projects where they'll be posting kind of like a pre-recorded virtual meeting, and you're able to get all the information about the project, submit your comments and your thoughts so that those projects have your considerations taken into account. And that second link, that second bullet point is another link to our website. It's under the news section from our Appalachian Regional Commission program. There are applications available for middle school, high school students, and I believe high school teachers. So two programs that are kind of like pretty nationally competitive, or at least throughout the ARC region competitive. That if you know any students or teachers that are interested in entrepreneurship or the STEM field, feel free to share that information with them. Those programs are now accepting applications. And Pete did make me aware of another active public engagement opportunity earlier today. And it's up on our Facebook page. I don't have anything in the presentation, but it is regarding the Levittsburg Dam Project. The Trumbull County Metro Parks is accepting public comment on that project. If you go to Trumbull County Metro Parks website, you can find all the information and documents there. And then I believe they're accepting written public comment either via email or actual mail. And I will put that information in the follow-up message that I send out to the CAB mailing list. Other than that, they're still accepting comments, I believe, on the My Mahoning River project. That one's been ongoing for a while. So if you haven't yet visited that site, another great opportunity. There's both a survey and an interactive map tool that you could utilize to make comments. So a lot of opportunity for a lot of different projects based on what you're interested in. Still ongoing, and hopefully you seek all of those out because they are some good opportunities. Other than
Justin,
that, yes.
Justin, the question came up on getting back to the river.
Mhm.
Is there? Do you know if there's a timetable set on when the Corps is going to do a study on the Gerard Dam and the old Republic RG Still site? The Gerard Dam, obviously take the intake for Ohio, for U.S. Stills there, and then the coke plant up on in downtown Warren takes theirs from the pool of water right in front of the RG Still Dam, Republic Still Dam. Do you know if there was a timeline set for studies to be done on that?
That's a great question. I don't know that there's a timeline available. I know that request was made to the Army Corps, but I can check with Joanne and see if there is a timeline available. I do have penciled in a presentation about the status of the Mahoning River and the update with the progress of that planning project to present to this group, I believe in the next 2 months. So if I don't get some good information shortly, hopefully that'll be available when we bring those folks in to talk more in depth about the Mahoning River.
But we still have funding in place for the Summit Street and the three Youngstown dams, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I do see that Mark put into the chat, there is the broadband surveys that were previously mentioned on our website. Simple link, eastgatecog.org/broadband. That's another one I'll put in the follow-up message out to everyone. So please look into those. That's really asking for information about your own personal connectivity to the internet and what your options are and kind of what needs improved. And then thank you, Pete, for putting that information in about the Levittsburg Dam. So now that we are through with kind of our planned agenda, we can open this up for some discussion. If we want to go back to Samantha and Pete's comments about the pipeline, or if there's any other topics that you'd like to discuss as a group, feel free to jump on and add to what they've contributed, or if you've got some topics of your own, feel free to introduce those as well.
I think the pipeline is going to be a great idea. You could have raw natural gas going through there that hasn't been processed yet. You could have, it'll be a cluster of pipes. You can even have a pipe for petroleum there, if you know, if you want. But and then processed natural gas, that'll be in there as well. I think it's just going to be a great idea to have that connected to the river and the lake together.
Hey, Kevin, and I think this goes out to Peter and his comment in the chat box. I just did a quick Google search. I think that federal approval would be required or financial support if it crosses state lines. But if it stays like Guy was suggesting along, ODOT, along their routes, I don't see where that would be an issue. Whether the federal government would have any say over that or not. But it looks like from my quick Google search that under certain federal rules and regulations that if it does cross state lines, like into PA, for example, that they could step in and have some kind of a say on the project.
Yeah, but this won't be interstate unless we ask for federal dollars.
Yeah, then again, they'd have to follow their guidelines for sure. Yeah.
Depending on a program, I just think it's a great idea. There's a lot of landowners from starting around the Columbiana Village area going up north that because there's no midstream, just they didn't even have their leases renewed after the first 3 to 5 year period of their leases from some of these larger oil companies. So they just don't see that tapping into this area as yet. There's a lot of gas here, but it's just much easier and cheaper to get it down south.
One thing I will note on the topic of the pipeline is that I'll get in touch with Jim, our executive director, and just kind of get an assessment of what Eastgate's involvement in the project is, because I'm still a little unclear of how we're tied to it. I know he brought it up in his kind of future outlook for the agency, his presentation last month. Just to be able to make that available to the CAB so that there's a clear understanding of, why we're talking about this here, because I think that's important as well.
Well, the land's owned by ODOT.
Right. Yeah, we may just be a connector between the chamber and the Department of Transportation.
And then, so what basic agency at the state level will be in charge of this? Or will they just allow somebody that has their fingers on this piece of property locally to have it? And for the most part, that would be Eastgate to appoint the port authorities up and down. We have the power under the revised code to own that and to do, to have something proprietary on that. There's just a limited amount of people that could administrate it and own it. So.
Pete, I see you threw another comment in the chat box there. Thank you for that. An advantage of using Route 11 right of way for the pipeline is that there would be easy access for monitoring and emergency response to leaks. A disadvantage would be possibly the need to shut down Route 11 if there was a leak. So great point. And I'm sure, this is still at the, request for a feasibility study stage. So I think, a lot of these comments and questions would be a focus of that study.
Hey, Justin, this is Ben.
Yeah.
One of the really interesting concepts and thought processes with that pipeline is a community like mine here in Hubbard, where for years we've been trying to put ourselves in the right position where we're here on Interstate 80. We're also right here at the 376, where the cracker plant is 40 miles away, if that. And there's so much traffic, so much availability, and the workforce is here. It's just a matter of trying to entice that development and get that development going. it's really exciting. You know, is it 20 years down the road, 5 years down the road? You know, we just don't know. But trying to put ourselves in that position is really interesting and exciting. And, you know, there's some things that we've tried to do where we have one of the first JEDs in the state of Ohio here with the city and the township. And there's been a lot of other discussions on, you know, how do we grow that? How do we make that to our advantage because of, you know, Route 7, Interstate 80. You know, there's a lot of neat things that do have potential. As we look at, you know, manufacturing and petrochemicals and just trying to do things in the whole Voltage Valley era, I mean, that's really where we're going. I kind of wanted to at least make mention, I don't know if anybody saw it, Elwood Engineered Castings here in Hubbard they did a $60 million expansion project to create a aluminum plant here. And I don't know if it's official or not, but their claim was that they created the largest piece of aluminum created in the United States of a cross-cut nature, whatever their specialty is. So they just got online recently, and now they've created the largest ever produced in the United States. So, you know, I think there's a lot of potential, and I think that, you know, everybody working together can really make something work because, you know, it's just great to hear that people are trying to push the envelope forward and not look back, but only look towards the future.
Thanks for sharing that, Ben.
Thank you.
It's an interesting little factoid about the largest piece of aluminum.
And Mayor, you know, just having the concept of running pipes up and down the median strip of these limited access freeways, if we could just prove that works, then yes, going to 80 and just weaving all over, like you said, up 376, cross 80, you know, another lateral will be 82. We just got to prove that the concept works. And then what we can,
I think it could be, if that concept works, you're right. I mean, it would be just this generational change, especially in our area. If you consider, you know, from the lake to the river, if you just consider these 4 counties, it's monumental.
What do you mean when you say a generational change?
I think that there's always been, you know, for years, generations, you know, of people said, oh, I don't want to live in this area. It's the Rust Belt. I don't want to be a part of things. I want to move away. And, you know, with the Voltage Valley concept going and just trying to reinvent, you know, what we are able to bring to the table and really show off what we can do. I think that there's a lot of potential there where if we can get involved in, you know, petrochemical manufacturing and that, you know, just things in the plastics industry and things along with energy, you know, there's a lot of potential there just to change the mindset of, well, I don't want to leave, you know, the residents that live here and people that go to school here, to really just reinvent ourselves and want to stay.
So I guess where I'm coming at it is I think that we're missing the mark on moving the area forward, because cities that are, you know, experiencing economic booms and increases in population, they're moving away from plastics and petrols, and they're looking to greener alternatives that are good for both the environment and for the economy and the community. And, you know, economies that have a lot of opportunity within them, from basic entry-level jobs to like more skilled research positions. And I just feel like a lot of money that is going into projects here is keeping us in the Rust Belt. I mean, I'm curious if anybody else shares that same thought process, or if, you know, if I'm alone in that, or what anyone has to say about that.
Well, our use of plastics, if I'm our use of plastic, the demand for plastics is going to go nothing but up in the foreseeable future. I mean, we're not looking at petrol just for energy to power automobiles and to heat homes. There's other uses that you get from it. And also for the same type of natural gas. You know, our natural gas is wet. You split it apart for different reasons, as what the cracker plant is going to do. So if you're looking at it, you know, as just a source, the main ingredient in gasoline for your cars, no, there's other uses for it.
Right. I guess I just feel like a lot of the innovative economies that are emerging in the United States are based on greener alternatives, like moving away from plastics into, I mean, if, you know, for example, hemp-based materials and other biomaterials.
To a point, you can't replace it all, especially for materials that you need to have some sort of strength to them.
All right. Anybody else have any other thoughts? Could be this topic, could be others. Anything else before we close out?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Gerald, is that you?
Yeah, okay. Maybe natural gas isn't a good idea for planning your future on, but to say we need bio products is okay, but you know they're not coming. How do we get these people here? How do we make them come in and develop industries in our area? It's one thing to say it; it's another thing to actually do it.
Well, you know, money speaks. If we keep putting money into the same things that we've been putting money into, so if we're not investing in these green technologies, we're not going to get people here, right?
Okay. I agree with you, but what? Tell me where we should invest. I'm all for it, but what do we invest in?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I work with KO Consulting LLC. It's a local consulting firm here. We actually do have some cool projects in the pipeline in terms of green industrial manufacturing down in Struthers. So we're really looking at, this is an area that we're looking into, but yeah, I guess, you know, the point that I was trying to make is if we just keep investing in the same things, for example, infrastructure projects that are widening roads instead of creating development patterns that are, you know, more conducive to walking and biking, like we're not gonna get a result if we keep putting into something that, you know, we've been the same things that we've been putting money into.
Okay,
But
could
we
I
have
ask
some,
you? I'm sorry, are you done?
no, go on. Yeah, go on. You could ask me.
Would you be willing to present to this group the kind of work that your consulting group is working on? We'd be interested in that, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, maybe Justin, perhaps you could get that on the agenda for one of our upcoming meetings. We would absolutely love to, Gerald.
Can we do that, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Okay, why don't we
yeah.
plan on that so we can hear the other alternative?
What was that?
I said, why don't we plan on you giving a presentation so we can look at the alternatives to these natural gas and petroleum-based activities?
Absolutely. We would be honored to give a presentation. I mean, it's definitely something that's very near and dear to our hearts, and we want to bring young talent here and, you know, retain talent here. And yeah, it's just one method of doing so. So we would love to present on the projects that we're working on.
And as far as your comment about not spending money on roads or infrastructure, we need those anyway, regardless of whether we have petroleum-based industry or bio-based industries.
Right. Absolutely. We do need roads. I guess I was coming at it from the last call or, you know, from either 1 month ago or 2 months ago. They were talking about a couple of road widening projects. And In full disclosure, so my background is urban planning and community development, and I'm very passionate about multimodal transportation. So I guess what I was getting at there is, you know, if we invest in the same types of roads that have created an auto-centric area, we're not going to get a different result. But yeah, agreed. We absolutely need roads.
Well, that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. And thank you, Samantha. We'll be in touch about getting you on the schedule for a future meeting. I do see one more comment from Pete in the chat. What have environmental activist groups said, if anything, about the pipeline proposal? Another great question that I don't have an answer for. But like Guy was saying, this idea has been around since 2013. So there may be, you know, some content out there from groups like those. And certainly, you know, another aspect to the project or idea that I'm sure will be addressed if it goes through to the planning phase. Looking at the time, we are closing in on about an hour. If anybody else has anything, we still got a couple minutes if you'd like to share. If not, we will adjourn. And we'll see you all again next month. So thanks for attending and being active and having some good discussion today.
Thanks, everybody,
you,
for the good
everyone.
discussion.
All right.
Have a nice night.
Thanks,
Okay,
Justin.
night
Thanks,
all.
everyone.